So, hey there, looks like we're live on YouTube. Welcome to Friday the 8th of May, and we're connecting. So, I see a few people here already in the chat. I'd love if, just to begin with, you'd let us know where you are from. So, I can see Kutaya, Florian, Sashin, Julio, great to chat with you earlier on today. Let us know where you're from, and there's a couple of things I have planned to talk about today, but very much open to questions, reflections, ideas, anything you want to stick in the chat. And again, one of the things I'm trying to figure out on these live streams is how to make them not just be like a recorded video, so have real interaction here with the chat. We're starting to see some places coming in. Rodrigo, Brazil, but I don't think you live there right now. Barcelona, India, it's a big place. Jagannath, Cologne, Germany, Indu from India, Northwest India. And to give a sense of what I have thought about talking about today, there's two things. One, there's a quote I shared on LinkedIn, which is this one: we must let go of the life we have planned to accept the one waiting for us. And I just wanted to take a moment to think about what that means, how you do it, what makes it difficult to let go of some things. And again, let's switch over to our talk cam for this. So, letting go of the life we have planned so that we can accept the life that is waiting for us. I think one of the incredibly difficult things as a human being is we have this wonderful thing called imagination. And it's very easy as you become an adult human being for imagination to take over your life. You spend more time living in your head than in the world. You spend more time living in what your future is going to be like than right now. And for me, going probably from 15 to 20 to 25 years old, my life, I think I stopped living in the moment and more was living for 10 years from now. And certainly when I became an entrepreneur aged 27, 28, so often the way I lived my days was seeing where my actions today will take me 10 years from now, and being willing to suffer the day because I could see in 10 years time I'll have money, I'll have a big house, I'll have the cars, I'll have all those things because of the hard work. And I very often didn't show up to friends' events. I very often sacrificed things. I remember many nights in my office as an entrepreneur, probably 7 o'clock in the evening, and in my head thinking, if I leave now, I could get home to read my daughter a story before she falls asleep. Or I can get that proposal finished and get it out. And back when I was 28, 29, 30 years old, the decision was always to stay late and to write the proposal, finish the proposal and get it out. Because my thinking was, in 5-10 years time, when my daughter's 10, 12 years old, this proposal is going to generate so much money that I can do exactly what I want with her when she's 10 or 12. And these sacrifices now are worthwhile because 10 years from now, I'll have a bunch of stuff that makes this suffering, makes this sacrificing of the people around me worthwhile. And then in 2008, when Lehman Brothers collapsed and I started to see my business collapsing, the hard thing in 2009 wasn't accepting the new reality. That was fairly evident that our income was going to change. The hard thing was deleting all of the life that I'd lived 10 years in the future, all of the plans I had 10 years in the future, all of the visions that I had for what I was going to do with the money that I was going to have. And for me, the greatest pain in 2009 wasn't the changes in my life in 2009. It was the image that I had of 2015, 2020, of having a big house, of having lots of money, of being famous, of being a success. I had to delete that from my imagination. And this quote is from Joseph Campbell. And during 2009, 10, 11, I listened to a lot of audiobooks of Joseph Campbell. And he talks about this idea of human life, that we can get so caught up within our imagination that we forget to live our life. And for me, the people that are really struggling right now are the ones that find it so hard to let go of what they were going to be doing in May 2020. Let go of what their plans for the summer were going to be, and accept that that plan was only in your head, it was never real. But for me, it's a very difficult thing to let go of that plan that we have for ourselves and accept that the universe is often smarter than any one of us. And I think deep down, I believe the universe is a good universe, and it wants the best for me and you and for all of us. And letting go of the plans you have in your head, just putting them on a paper, and sometimes it's as simple as writing them down on a piece of paper and burning them. But some sort of ritual just to accept that you did have a plan, and it is painful to let go of it, and it's sad and you feel let down, and that feeling is real, but the plan wasn't real, and you experience the feeling, and you can let the plan go and bring yourself down to today. And I think on this view, there's someone that really helped me live through the 2009 period whilst crisis was going on in my life. I remember I met an American lady at a train station just having a coffee, and she probably looked at me and saw this mess of a 34-year-old man waiting to get on a train to Madrid. And because we shared the same bit of a table to rest our coffee as we were waiting for our train, she began a conversation with me. And she told me two things that really helped. And sometimes a complete stranger sharing something can be so much more powerful than a good friend or a parent or a brother sharing something with you, because there's no vested interest. She had no interest in changing my life. But she told me two things. One, God would never give you a problem he doesn't know you're able to overcome. And I took this as the universe would never put a problem in front of me if it didn't know that I have access to the resources to be able to get to the other side of that problem. Doesn't mean that I have the resources in my hands right now, but I have the capability to reach out, and the friends around me and the resources to pull together and find the resources to get through wherever I am. And that as a belief is a wonderful way of developing an unconditional peace of mind, that whatever problems face us in our lives, I have a real sense that the universe puts problems so we can grow, but it never puts a problem that's so big that there's not resources that are available to you to be able to grow and overcome it. Doesn't mean it's not going to be painless. It doesn't mean you're not going to have to sacrifice some things that you hold dear. But there's never going to be a problem in front of you that there are not resources at your disposal to be able to grow and become the person capable of stepping over that problem. And that idea and that belief to me has been transformational in how I deal with challenges, I deal with difficult things, to just remind myself that whatever it is, if I look around me, if I open my eyes and look at what's around me, I'm going to find resources that I wasn't aware of that are here in my life, and they're going to help me move through things. And sometimes these resources are not in your direct tunnel vision. You have to stop and you have to look off to the side and you have to explore your friends. You have to get to know what are the resources that are in left field and in right field, but not right there obvious in front of you. So this belief, you would never face a problem if the universe wasn't sure that you had resources that are available to you to be able to become the person you need to be to get over this problem and go to the next one. And I guess here, there's never going to be a moment in life where you don't have problems. Problems are how the universe helps us grow as human beings. If you didn't have a problem, you'd just stay a vegetable on the couch. We need problems to get us to grow, to become the person we need to be to get through this problem. So my reflection there was, let's switch back to chat cam as I can see some good chat coming in. And I've updated my settings, so now we should be able to see chat cam. So we've got Morad from Algeria. Wellington, Sami, Gregor from Slovenia, Faisal from Algeria, Sami from Lebanon, John Hansford, work to live, not live to work. Great thought. Jerry Lai, what do you think is a good way to start a speech for student council? We'll note that one down. Student council. Sachin, how to earn money as an entrepreneur. There's probably a million places where you can find that out better than for me, but I have some answers on what do you need to learn to be able to live as an entrepreneur. To me, my definition of entrepreneur is someone who has more ideas than resources. If you have more ideas than you have resources, you're an entrepreneur. If you have few ideas and lots of resources, you're not an entrepreneur. Charlotte from Montreal, Paul Burns, great to see you. Wahida from Paris, George Sebastian from India, Cruz from Mexico, Steve-O from Sydney, Remy from Kenya. George, what should be our attitude? I think in the immortal words of Johan Cruyff, siempre positivo, nunca negativo. Always positive, never negative. There is nothing that a negative attitude will help you in. There is never a time where it's better to have a negative attitude than a positive attitude. One of the greatest illnesses that afflicts human beings is a negative attitude, is a belief that nothing is worthwhile, an almost nihilistic sense that the universe is empty and nothing is worthwhile and everything's pointless. Whatever your beliefs about the universe, I think it's important to have a set of beliefs that believes that action always matters. Even if no one's watching, your actions are known to yourself and they matter. So, Hassan, it's also an honor to have you here. Marcelo, tudo bem? Obrigado. Rodrigo, more ideas than resources. Absolutely. Rodrigo, when we're helping with that business plan, an entrepreneur is always going to have to become resourceful in the way you gather resources. Because if you can do a business plan without the help of anyone, that's probably not an interesting way of living a life. It's not a way you're going to grow as a human being. So what I had thought about in sharing in the 45 minutes that we have together is in Vistage, in the business where I'm president and leading here in Spain, we have 7 beliefs about what it is to be a successful leader. And what I wanted to use this 45 minutes for was to go through those 7 beliefs that very much resonate with my beliefs about the world and the way I try and carry myself in the world. And I guess we've got some questions there on how to start a speech to the student council. I think how to start a speech to anyone, the first thing is think about who are they? Who are the audience? What do they want? What do they fear? What's quality of life for them? What's a pain for them now? And before you even say a word, being able to stop and think about the individual human beings out there. Who are they? What do they want? What do they need? What's a pain to them? What are they struggling with? I think when you start really stopping about thinking about what do I want to say, and you really move into thinking about who's out there. And for me, before this live stream began, I was stopping here, just taking my time to stop thinking about me and think about who's going to be connecting. Who's going to be listening to my voice? Who's going to be commenting in this chat? What are they dealing with? What are they struggling with? And as I think about that, all of my worries about what am I going to say, will I be able to fill 1 hour with useful stuff, start to go away. And I think about who are you? What are you struggling with? What are you thinking about? Entrepreneurship, 25 years old, how do I begin as an entrepreneur? Once I start to think about how can I answer that, what experience can I share, what tools can I direct you to, then it begins to be less about me, less about what I need to say, and much more about you. So I think every speech, you need to begin first by not thinking about what I want to say, but stopping and really thinking, who am I speaking to? What do they worry about? What keeps them awake at night? What would they love? What's quality of life? What's a good thing? How is what I'm offering going to help them get more of what they want and less of what they don't want? And if I don't know, I'm not ready to speak. I need to go and interview. I need to discover. I need to find out who they are. To begin a speech without knowing who your audience are, what they're struggling with, what their hopes and dreams are, is like writing a love letter and putting at the top, to whom it concerns. No love letter is going to work when you write to whom it concerns. You've got to put a name and you've got to know that person. Speaking to an audience is much the same. And I guess here you could say, how can I know who the people connecting in from around the YouTube universe? I think we now have 84 people connected through YouTube from Middle East, from Spain, from Europe. How can you know who they are? Well, I think I need to guess a little bit. But one of the things I've learned over the last 18 years teaching in a business school is pretty much all human beings want somewhat the same type of stuff. And in some way, the way I think of every human being is every adult is really a 5-year-old trapped inside the body of an adult. And that 5-year-old inside each of us is kind of struggling to figure out what's going on. No one ever gave you the real rule book to how to live life, how to make decisions. And the more lost you are, the more this outer clothing of adult needs to pretend that you've got it all sorted. The more confident, the more self-esteem, the more trusting that the universe is a benevolent, good place, the more you're willing to let that inner 5-year-old be vulnerable, be honest, let people know that sometimes you're lost, sometimes you need a bit of a hand, sometimes you need help to solve things in life. And for me, when I speak to an audience, I'm trying to speak to the 5-year-old inside every one of us. The 5-year-old that's got so much hope, got so much desire to connect with other people, but has been hurt a few times and is a little bit worried and needs a bit of encouragement to come back and be the full version of yourself. Desification from Sligo. So the 7 beliefs of CE of Vistage. So in Vistage we hold 7 beliefs. 7 beliefs. Great leaders, great human beings reject shortcuts. Great human beings, great leaders spend time to work on your life, not just in the busyness of your day-to-days, but you take time to write in a journal, to think about where you're going, to think about what you want, to think about the relationships you want around you. Seek perspectives. You are aware that your way of seeing the world is not the only way of seeing the world. And other people, when they have different perspectives, they're not wrong, they just have different perspectives. They're paying attention to different things. Curiosity. When you find someone with different perspectives, you seek to understand. You seek to explore what they are seeing that you're not seeing. Discipline. Discipline in everything. Discipline in health. Discipline in taking decisions. Discipline in taking time to work on your life and to think. Number 6, mentors. Seek trusted guides. And there's 2 important words. Trusted guides. We learn who you can trust and allow them to guide you. And finally, you become a mentor to others. You're a trusted guide to others. We rise by helping others rise. And what I was going to do is just walk through those 7 beliefs and what they mean to me, and maybe that resonates with you. So let's just talk a little bit about rejecting shortcuts. And let me just get some water going here. It's warming up here in Barcelona, so I'm beginning to notice that in our house soon air conditioning is going to be needed. Paul, I see you're from Scotland. I don't know if air conditioning is going to be needed there in Scotland anytime soon. Let's switch over to our talk cam here. And I want to talk about rejecting shortcuts. Nothing worthwhile in life is achieved by taking the shortcut. If you want to become a great musician, I'm sure there are musicians that think, I'll just learn 3 pieces. I'll get really, really good at 3 pieces. And you can probably practice just 3 pieces and get really good at them. But any distraction and you're lost. I've worked with Florian Weck, who's also on this chat in here, for I don't know, it's 13, 14 years we've been working together at IESE Business School in helping the MBA, executive MBA students become excellent in the way they have impact with their words. They can stand up and speak, and people listen, engage, and change what they would have done. And there's no shortcut. Being fit, I've seen YouTube videos for these electrode pads you put on your stomach, and they give you a six-pack without you having to do sit-ups. But I think it's any seeking for a shortcut is a very dangerous thing. And the successful people that I've known in life, they take the long way. They take the route that allows them to build the foundations before they build the first floor, before they build the second floor. And the leaders that I want to be around, the professors at IESE that I want to learn from, are the ones that are not in a rush to get fast up through the organization. They want to learn everything they can at each level, so they've completed stage 1 before they move to stage 2. And with kids at school, it's scary how quickly school can teach my daughters that the exam's pointless, so I might as well just put in as little effort as possible. And I think it might be true that the exam is pointless. It's testing something that is pointless. The problem is when you already start to practice shortcuts, practice doing mediocre work when you're 10, when you're 15, when you're 20, it becomes very difficult to suddenly switch on mastery level. Someone once said, if you take care of the little things, the big things take care of themselves. And the little things are, you pick 2 or 3 things that matter in your job, matter in your industry, and become excellent at them. And view it as not a 1-year journey, but a 20-year journey towards excellence. And to the question on becoming an entrepreneur, the single most important skill of an entrepreneur is to be good at sales. But not sales of a product, sales of belief. And as an entrepreneur, if you're the smartest technology person in the room, that's going to get you only so far as an entrepreneur. If you as an entrepreneur are able to bring 10 technical people in and give them belief in their skills, belief that this project is the best place that they could spend the next couple of years of their life, belief that we're going to change things that really matter, we're going to work for customers that really are worthy of our level. If you as an entrepreneur can pass across that belief, you can attract the best engineers, you can attract the best managers, you can attract the best financial people, you can attract the best customer service people there are. So as an entrepreneur, learn to sell. And learning to sell is about human psychology. Learning how do you find out who people are, what do they want, what are they struggling with. And one of the things I've learned with people is they'll never completely honestly answer your questions. So if you as a salesman roll up to a company and you ask them, what are the big challenges you're dealing with at the moment? They're not going to necessarily answer you correctly or directly. One, maybe they don't know. And as a salesperson, you need to help others discover what they're not clear on. And as a salesperson, you need to really understand how decision processes are made, both by individuals and by companies. And that's not something you can learn in a week or in a year or in 10 years. It's a lifelong journey of dedication. So I think this idea of rejecting shortcuts, taking the long road, for me, when I decided to take YouTube seriously, I decided I wanted to take YouTube seriously like a craftsman. And to me, a craftsman is an idea of somebody who, he takes the leather from the animal, he tans the leather, he works the leather, he prepares the shoe or whatever he's working on, and he sells it. And when he sells it, he hands it over to the final customer. All of the parts of the process are taken care of by the craftsman. And in YouTube, I decided I'm not going to outsource editing. I'm not going to outsource story writing. I want to be a craftsman to do the whole process from idea through to publishing the video onto YouTube. I want to learn how all the bits fit together. I want to learn how the editing software allows you to do certain things with the camera. I want to learn how the audio, different microphones affect each other. I want to learn how to take an idea and turn it into a story and into a 2-minute, 7-minute or 30-minute video. And I'm willing to take 10 years to really get to grips with how all of these pieces fit together. And there's been plenty of times where people say, Conor, you're running a business, you're a professor at a university, why are you editing your own videos? I said, because I've still got something to learn. And I think the depths of knowledge of a craftsman, where you understand how the bits of the process link together, allow you, not at the moment, it'll take me another few years to really be good at editing, good at filming, good at light, good at audio, good at how I conceptualize an idea and turn it into some structure on a page, good at the whole management of the process. There will come a time in 8 or 10 years where I can start to delegate to other people editing, or start to delegate to other people making the video. But I do think it's going to be so important in the things that matter to you to be a craftsman across all of the skills necessary. My friend Christoph Magnussen runs a business in Germany, and everyone in the business is required to spend a week as an intern. He is the CEO and founder of the business. 1 week every year he's an intern, and he goes and he job shadows someone in the company. And he shares that it can sometimes be a bit of a humiliating thing for the CEO founder of a company to spend a week job shadowing the person who looks after expense reports in the company. But by having the willingness and the humility to go in and do the things that in some way might feel beneath him, and rejecting the shortcut of just thinking with half an hour you can understand what's done in that job, he's learned a hell of a lot more about the real challenges in his company. So this rejecting shortcuts to me is about having the attitude of a craftsman. And a craftsman understands the full, from raw material through to finished product, through to the customer receiving it and using it, understands the full thing, is part of the full thing, has their name underneath on the product in the full thing. And I think taking that stance in life is part of becoming the type of leader that I want to spend my time around. So rejecting shortcuts, always seeking that you're not just going to learn the roof knowledge. And this metaphor, I remember a friend of mine, Luis Costa Suarez, talked about, he had a house up in the Pyrenees, which was a 1-floor house, and he wanted to add some more space. And he asked a local architect if he'd be able to just come and do some work to add a room on top of his house. And he came and had a look at the house, looked around, and he says, we're not going to be able to do it. And Louis said, well, we just want a little room on top. And he said, your house has no foundations. It was built 200 years ago when the foundations were just a little trench dug down. If you want to go up, first you're going to have to do a lot of work to dig down and create the foundations. And this idea that in order to go up, very often first you need to go down. In order to go up a role, first you need to go down and really get sure that the foundations of your life, the foundations in terms of health, the foundations in terms of the relationships, the foundations in terms of your family being a strong unit, you need to go down, really improve those so that you're able to grow up. And I also love the metaphor of the bamboo. My mum is a gardener and she hates bamboo. And bamboo is a plant that if you plant bamboo, for 1 year you see nothing growing. For 2 years you see nothing growing. What bamboo does in the first 2 years is the root system is just growing down and wide and really getting established, a massive root system. And sometime after the second year, when the root system is wide and deep, in the third year, what you see bamboo do is shoot up 2 meters high. And in the fourth year, another meter high. And what it's done is take 2.5 years to really build the foundations so that it allows for 2 meters of rapid growth in the 3rd year. Too many people try and build a life where they try and get a meter up without building those strong bamboo-like root foundations. So often, health, strengthening one part of your body without strengthening the rest of your body, you're just going to cause yourself an injury. There's a lot of people go to the gym and they just train the things they can see in the mirror at the front, and you'll end up with a back injury and leg injuries. You got to train the whole body so that as your biceps become stronger, the whole rest of your body is able to have the foundations to deal with this strength. So this first belief about rejecting shortcuts is to really understand what are the foundations that I need to build before I'm able to go higher up. And if you don't think you need to build foundations before you go higher up, you're probably missing mentors and trusted guides and people who've gone before you who are able to honestly tell you the foundations that you're going to need to build in your life, to take your life, to take your earnings, to take your business, to take whatever it is to the next level up. But I want to surround myself with leaders who reject shortcuts, who want to go the hard way, who understand that if you go the hard way, you are ready for whatever crisis is here to come. So let's switch back here to our chat cam. And I see some chat going in here. Christian, great to have you. Christian Metre. Dr. Harry Babu, wonderful knows 7 beliefs. Thank you. Leticia from Algeria. Hey, Florian, IESE forever. Absolutely. And Florian, you'll be glad to see I'm preparing for next year's IESE course. We've got gifts to give to the heroic people who volunteer. Christian, 8-pack, yeah, you can go beyond a 6-pack to an 8-pack. Callum, how do you go from being a thinker to a doer? I'm going to note that one down for our next one, because one of my mentors, Warren Rustand, he has a saying around, there's a lot of people that think, or there's a lot of talkers that don't be a talker, be a doer. Always be a doer before you're a talker. And I guess me as a teacher of public speaking, probably I need to take this advice more than anyone to make sure that anything that I'm going to tell you, first I do it in my own life. And the habits that I share with people, writing stuff down, using a journal, I'm very clear that I better do it first so that I'm able to tell others. And Callum, there's a wonderful story from Gandhi where a mother of a young boy in India asked Gandhi for help. And the young boy was just eating too much sugar, too much chocolate, was getting overweight. And the young boy held Gandhi in high esteem. So the boy's mum asked Gandhi, would you help me? Would you tell my son to stop eating sugar? And Gandhi nodded, and he didn't come. And he didn't come for the first week, he didn't come for the second week. After 30 days, Gandhi came to her house, spoke to the boy, and he told the boy, stop eating sugar. And the boy's mum said to Gandhi, why did you take 30 days to just say that? And Gandhi said, oh, it's been hell this month. But before I could say that to the boy, first I needed to do it for myself. And I've been drinking coffee with no sugar, not eating chocolate. And now, after 30 days of living it myself, I'm able to tell your son to stop eating sugar. And I think this attitude, this story from Gandhi, which sounds a little bit created or fable-like, but it's a very powerful thing to hold as a parent or as a leader. So often I see my daughters, they do what I do, not often what I say. How often do I call them for dinner and they're a little bit late? They call me for dinner and I'm a little bit late. If I want them to be right on time when we have dinner on the table, first I need to get my own show sorted and make sure that whenever there's a call for dinner, I'm first for at least 30 days, coming and being there first. So Adisu, once again, these 7 points. So let's quick review. We're going to cover these 7 points. 7 beliefs that I have about what makes a great leader. Great leaders reject shortcuts. Great leaders take time to work on your own life, not just in the busyness of the day-to-day. Take time to seek other perspectives, other points of view. Bring curiosity to almost everything. Bring discipline to almost everything. Seek out mentors. They know that there are people worthy of following. There are great teachers here, but you've got to figure out how to find them, how to trust people. Not everyone is worthy of trust. And you've got to help others, to mentor others, share and give back what you receive. In Vistage, we have a saying, we rise by lifting others. It's by lifting up others that we help the whole world rise. So let's see. Hey, Pablo from Uruguay. Edward, so great to have you on here. Thank you for your email this week. Very inspiring. Just the motivation I and Florian needed. Thank you for that. Kees, you're very kind. Amen. Thank you very much. So we're going to go and move to number 2 of the beliefs now. So let's switch back over to our chat cam. And this idea of taking time to work on your life, not just in your life. And the Stephen Covey, his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, one of the habits is sharpen the saw. And sharpen the saw is a story that there's 2 woodsmen in the forest. And one is just sawing and sawing and sawing. The other saws for an hour and then sits and repairs his saw for half an hour. He saws for an hour, then he sits and repairs his saw for half an hour. And the workman who's just sawing hour after hour after hour is looking over at his colleague and thinking he's lazy and thinking I'm going faster. And early on he's cutting down more trees per every hour than his colleague who's taking time to rest. But it comes a time after 3 or 4 days where the man who's just sawing, one time he puts his saw in, he starts to saw and the saw breaks. And now he can't cut down trees. Whereas the woodsman who's taking time to rest, to repair his saw, to repair and notice any damage, to strengthen, to sharpen, his saw can keep on going day after day, week after week. And very often type A ambitious people are in a rush, and taking time to stop and to reflect, taking time to pay attention to things that aren't directly in front of you but are in the campo, the area outside of your direct line to target, is this idea of repairing, sharpening the saw, taking time to just think about what you're doing. I love Dan Sullivan, and his name I've dropped many times. Dan Sullivan talks about 3 levels of thinking. Thinking about things, thinking about people, thinking about my own thinking. And that the most important, most powerful type of thinking that you can do is thinking about your own thinking. Noticing about the way your mind thinks through decisions. Noticing about the way your mind intuitively values one thing or another. Noticing where your mind is wrong. Noticing where your mind takes decisions that are poor for you long term. And being willing to laugh at yourself as a human being. And a human being is a flawed mess. None of us are perfect. And being willing to laugh at yourself, note down the flaws that are part of you, and just remember that this flaw is in you, and it's part of you. So how do you put yourself in situations which avoid that flaw pulling you down? How do you put yourself in situations where your strengths can really play? And I think this idea of working on your life, or an entrepreneur working on your business, the metaphor that for me is most important is a Formula One race car team. And the driver of a Formula One race car is in the car, is dealing with decisions in the next second, the next 5 seconds, the next turn coming up, the gear changes. they're not able to see any further than the next turn. The maintenance crew, the mechanics are the ones looking to halfway through the race, thinking about tire wear, thinking about engine wear, thinking about fuel use, and just tuning the car, sometimes remotely and sometimes when the car comes into the pits, to make sure it's good for not just this lap, but for the 50th lap and the 100th lap. And the winner of a Formula One is not the person who's leading after 20 laps. It's the person who's leading at the end of the race. And this balance between the car driver who's trying to get the most out of the engine and the wheels right now, and the maintenance crew who are thinking about the long-term balance of the engine and the wheels and the fuel usage. And perhaps they're communicating to the driver, slow down. You know, at the current rate, you're going to run out of fuel 2 laps too early for our strategy. And I think in life, sometimes you are the driver of the car that is your life. Sometimes you need to be the maintenance crew that looks at the indicators of wear and tear on your body, wear and tear on your mind, whether you're getting tired, whether you're getting demotivated. What are the things that give you energy? What are the things that take your energy away? How do you be doing things now that 5 years from now you can play more to your strengths and use less the weaknesses? And for me, you know, this question is, who do you need around you who is strong where you are weak? And this is something that, you know, for me, writing in a journal and noting down, you know, as simple as the end of each day, just noting down, what I'll tend to do is put love, hate, noting the things that I loved doing, that gave me energy, that made me feel more motivated to do other things. What are they? Who are the people that give me that? And on the other side, what sucked my energy? Just taking the time for that reflection, day after day, week after week, you learn a hell of a lot about how to manage your own self. And there's a saying that we human beings, we don't come with a user's guide. Well, the user's guide is write stuff down. Take note of when you do well, when you do bad. Take note of when you expect X and you get Y. Take note of when you trusted someone but you were wrong. And learn what to look for in people to tell that they are worthy of your trust. Because you can't just trust everyone. You've got to learn how to see in other people whether they really are worthy of your trust. And I think all of these learnings happen not when you're in the Formula One car going at 200 miles an hour. They happen when you stop and you look back on that last lap. You look back on that last race. You look back on the last couple of years and just think, when was I at my best? What type of people really make me feel good? Over the next year, 5 years, 10 years, how do I have more people like that around me? How do I have more of my day dedicated to things that make me feel good? And if you make these small adjustments, success starts to come. But if you just put your head down and, like that woodworker, just saw away with your head down and never stop to think about which trees are easier to cut down, which part of the saw is the weakest and the sharpest. If you learn how to use yourself, this tool that is you, then you can really make an impact. And I think Matti Che, one of the wonderful faculty that I get to collaborate with at IESE, always shares a story from her mother. And the story is, it's a fable we all know, the goose that laid the golden egg. And she shares the story of the farmer who has the goose who lays the golden egg. And day after day he goes out and he finds another golden egg. And day after day, with each golden egg, this farmer's starting to get rich. And as he gets rich, he wants to get rich faster. So one day he takes a knife and he slits the throat of the goose that lays golden eggs to find all the gold inside. And when he looks inside the dead goose, there's no gold. It's just a normal goose. And he never again receives a golden egg. And the goose is a metaphor for us. If you don't take care of yourself, if you just try and get all the gold out of yourself this day, this week, this month, this year, you squeeze it all out in one go, you kill the goose. And if you kill the goose, there's no more gold to be had. So finding this balance between traveling and stopping and resting, traveling, stopping and reflecting, is this the right direction? Who's on my team? Who's supporting me? Who should I be following? Who can I learn from? Finding that right balance. And I don't know what the right balance in hours and days is at each stage of your life. There are certainly times in your life where the right thing is to put your head down and for a month just really work hard on something. But there's also times in life where the right thing is actually to just stop and take a full break and really take stock of where you are, what you've achieved, and then look 5, 10, 15 years ahead. Sometimes I take a full day and I tell myself I'm not going to work on anything today that is affecting anything less than 5 years into the future. So nothing I do today can be urgent. Nothing I do today can be about this year. It has to be about planting seeds, planning things that are 5 or more years distant in the future. And really holding myself to do that is hard. It's so easy to just get into email, get into the urgent thing and react to the day. And it can feel good to react to the day. So it's hard to take time to dedicate to 5 or more years into the future. But the best leaders are not building their company for now. They're building their company for 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now. And I think the best human beings are not just living for now. They're thinking about how to build the life that will be fulfilling to them and the people that matter to them around them, not just in 1 year, but 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Jim Rohn has a saying, it's amazing what we can achieve in 10 years. Or we so underestimate what we can achieve in 10 years and we so overestimate what we can achieve in a day. A day you can make very little change, but 10 years worth of steadily moving towards a target day after day, you can really make a difference. So let's go back to our chat cam here. Amen. Will the video be available later? Yep. What I do with these live streams is just allow the default YouTube thing where it just shares it. And so far what I'm seeing is we get plenty of people watching them live, but there's usually another 800 that watch them through the rest of the afternoon. Ayub, big hi to Morocco. Chadia, great. Thank you for your kind words. Leticia, future entrepreneur, building a strong woman inside of me. Struggling 1 year. Yeah. And, again, we each struggle, but it's unique in each of our cases. So, to me, thank you for being here. I hope something in my words just encourages you. But I know that if you stay to it and you learn from good people and you work hard to help others achieve what they want, good things happen. Lancelot, you're very kind. Daniel, Venezuelan living in Chile. Now, Daniel, glad you're there in Chile. It's a hard thing to see what can happen to a country like Venezuela, where 20 years ago level of life of Europe and now really struggling. So hope you're doing well there in Chile. Hope your family are well and healthy. Abir, very kind. Chadia, yeah, metaphors. I love metaphors. When you communicate, if you can find metaphors, things that make a new idea make sense from something that someone already understands, it's one of the most powerful ways. Carl from Philippines. Stephen, on meditation, and I get this question a lot. I think I'm a really bad meditator. It's the idea of meditation, of sitting still and just paying attention to my breath, I haven't got the patience for it. But there's a couple of things that I do that when I listen to a good meditator, I find through this activity my source of meditation. And one is running. When I go for a run, I'm not necessarily running to get fit. It's a nice outcome, but I find after about 20 minutes of running, my mind and my body just enters into a state where I'm just present in the run, in the moment, in my body. I try and go for runs here in Barcelona on Tibidabo, the mountain up behind. So I get on my motorbike and in 12 minutes I'm up on the mountain behind. There's a trek that runs, I think you can do 18 kilometers from one side to the other and back. when I'm running along there and there's very few other people and I'm just in nature, I've got the view of the Mediterranean and I'm just running along. When I begin running, my head is full of thoughts. After about 10-15 minutes of running, I just find that I'm just present and in the run and in nature, noticing the smells, feeling the run, feeling what's under my feet. And I guess that for me is the closest I would get to some form of meditation. The other thing that I do that I guess gets me close is writing in a journal. And I think writing, the act of writing, for me has the sense of slowing everything down. When I feel under pressure to take a decision, when I feel under pressure to move fast, when I stop and get a pen and start to write down the things that are on my head into the book, it just seems to slow everything down and allow me to become highly conscious of what I'm feeling, what I'm doing, what's important, what's not important. So meditation in terms of sitting still, I've never had the patience, and I guess it is a practice. But my two activities that give me, and I'm guessing here, but give me a sense of what meditation could be, one is running, and the other is journaling or writing or exploring ideas with a pen. It just seems for me to slow things down. I forget the unimportant and I'm just here with myself. Faisal, the journal is a guide or feeling receipt? Well, I don't know. Sometimes I don't ask too much. So, I think sometimes just trust the flow. Trust that if you start to journal, ideas will come. My beginning of journaling began with a teacher I had when I was 14 who just had us pen touching paper 5 minutes every day. And I think that's a wonderful way to journal. You don't start with a plan, you don't start with questions, you don't start with a structure. You just give yourself a rule. For the next 5 minutes, this pen will be touching this page. And if nothing comes, nothing comes, but the pen's going to be touching the page, I'm going to stay here. And what miraculously happens is when your mind sees that the pen is going to stay touching the page and it can't talk you out of it, pretty good thoughts start to flow. Stephen, do you have a special pen for your writing? Let me see. This is an IESE branded pen in my drawer here in front of me. I also have Vistage branded pens. So as you can see, I also have Entrepreneurs Organization branded pens. One of the benefits of speaking around the world for the last 15 years is you get given a lot of pens. When you teach a corporate event, you end up with a couple of pens. When I teach at IESE, I gather a couple of pens. So, Stephen, I did years ago buy a special fountain pen that I wanted to use to sign the most important contracts. And back when I, as an entrepreneur, was selling private jets, I did have a special pen that I only took out to sign deals. And it was a fountain pen where you have to reload the ink cartridge and get it, and it spills all over your hands. But I wanted it to be a ritual that when I'm signing an important contract, when we're acknowledging that we're going to begin a business relationship together, this pen is what comes out and it makes it special. So we're coming up to the last 4 minutes here. So one of the good things is I have content for my next few live streams. So we've covered rejecting shortcuts. We've covered taking time to work on your life. What I'm not going to do is try and rush through the next 5 about seeking perspectives, curiosity, discipline, mentors, and help others. What I want you to do in the chat is for the next live stream, which 2 are the most interesting for you? How to have curiosity in all things, how to have discipline in all things, how to identify trustworthy people who can act as a mentor, how to identify those that are worthy of you acting as their mentor. So which of these would you be most interested in exploring in more detail in the next live stream? Florian, mentors. Mentors is a good one. And in fact, I've been running mentorship programs for the last few years, and this year I want to take some time to really think about what makes a good mentor, what makes a good mentor-mentee relationship, how to form the relationship, who has most responsibility, mentor, mentee, how to ask good questions as a mentor, how to ask good questions as a mentee, how to allow the mentor to see the impact of their guidance on you. Excellent. So I'm going to save off this chat and identify which are the ones that resonate most with each of you. And again, we're coming to the last 2 minutes. What I would love just from each of you as we come to an end, one word in the chat. What's your state of mind right now? What's if you had to capture what the inner emotional state that you have right now is, what word would you put to capture the inner emotional state that you're feeling at the moment? And would love to see some of that. So I guess we're seeking perspectives, discipline, curiosity, discipline, helping others. James, that's an important one. And for me, the idea of how to identify who is worthy or who is able to accept help. Because I remember there's a lawyer friend of mine said he gives advice to a lot of people, but he finds the only people who put the advice to work are those that pay him. And I think this idea of helping others, just giving advice is not helping others. You need to find a way of getting them to take seriously the relationship and being willing to commit to some challenging things in this process. How to deal with negative thoughts. Marwan, I'm going to note that one down. I have a lot of negative thoughts, and my way is noticing and just allowing them to float away, not negotiating with my thoughts, but just noticing and being aware that the little voice in my head is not me. It's not who I am. It's just a little voice chatting away in my head. It never stops chattering away in my head. Very often I don't think it has my best interests at heart. So this negative voice in our head, every human got blessed with one. I don't know why it's there. It talks you out of all the good things. Sometimes I think our purpose, the way you find your purpose, is the opposite direction of where your negative inner voice is trying to tell you to go. If you think, I want to teach, and your little inner voice says, who the hell are you to be a teacher? You're not good at a teacher, no teaching, what can you ever teach? It's probably a sign that that's something important to you. So the negative inner voice is a tough one. So we're seeing some words here: positivity, motivated, inspired, motivational novels. Khalid, for me, there's a short story from Tolstoy called The Death of Ivan Ilyich. And that book, it's a short story. You can read it in under an hour. It's probably about 60 pages. You can probably find a free downloadable PDF if you search for Tolstoy Ivan Ilyich PDF on Google. That to me is a powerful motivational force. In a way, it's motivational because it looks at life like at the end, and Ivan Ilyich has to face up to what is important when little time is left in your life. And Ivan Ilyich discovers that some of the things that he felt were important in his younger years when he had infinite time became massively less important when he realized that time is limited. So The Death of Ivan Ilyich, but Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning would be my number one book on just finding why you are here. What is your purpose? What are the things that will get you through whatever it is you have to face? So Bethany, Eclectic Videos, Alan, Stephen, Chris, Sachin, great to have you here. We're going to finish off this live stream. I'm seeing that discipline and mentors are two of those beliefs, two of those themes that are going to be on the agenda for the next live stream, which will be next week. I will make sure we send out early next week which day, 5 p.m. we'll be running a live stream, and the two topics will be mentors and discipline. Have a great one. Have a wonderful weekend wherever you are. I look forward to seeing you again on this live stream. And to those that asked the question, the video will be up on YouTube as soon as this is finished, so you can rewatch or again. Mirta, good to see you here. Pensive. Sometimes pensive is a good place to be. And I think, this action of looking for the word that's inside, it doesn't need to be a positive word. It needs to be an honest word. And noticing that you're pensive, noticing that you're sad, noticing that you're fearful, noticing that you're angry is important. The only way that you're able to deal with a negative emotion is by labeling it, accepting it, and allowing it to be fully felt, and then it moves through your system. Pretending that you're positive when inside you're feeling fearful, pretending that you're positive when inside you're feeling angry, blocks that, and your unconscious will remain in that feeling. So thanks to all of you for allowing me to feel meaningful, inspired, and good. You guys are going to use this weekend good, and we're going to see you in the next week. Have a great one. So wonderful to see the 97 viewers on. Have a great one.